Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, the nighttime, it really is the right time. Nocturnus is a 10% Imperial Stout from Watermark Brewing Company in Stevensville, Michigan. It's been a few minutes since my last Watermark beer review. Bunk Bed Confessions was one of my favorites of 2021, of the whole thing. And today I'm back with Nocturnus. Now as the weather starts to warm up and cool down and warm up again, it's still stout season because it's always stout season. So let's get into this one. But first I'd like to thank my executive producers Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Vinny Cant, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks available only to patrons. If you're not into the whole monetary thing, just share this video, spread the word. Also, big thanks to Dewey Pod Monster's own John Farner for picking up this one for me. You can find out more about the podcast in the link in the description below. Let's take a look at the label. So this one is a beer that Watermark has put out for a little while, and I think they do a barrel-aged version as well, but this is the non-barrel-aged version. If we start from the top, in their iconic font, it says Watermark. Underneath, it says Brewing Company, and it has, looks like a bat skeleton, or possibly a pterodactyl, or something. I wouldn't say a pterodactyl, because it doesn't have the long nose, but it's some kind of flying beast that is not a bird, I don't think. Could be a bird. It doesn't have a beak. Birds don't have beaks on their skulls. What am I talking about? Maybe they do. What is a bird? Underneath that, it says Nocturnus. It has like a cracking look to it, as if like a dried out riverbed or something where the dirt's dried up and it's cracked. On the side here, it says Imperial Stout with coconut, cacao nibs, vanilla, 10% alcohol by volume, 1 pint. On the other side, it has brewed and canned by Watermark Brewing Company in Stevensville, Michigan. Has the government warning, has the deposit information. There is a QR code here with the iconic diving helmet, and I believe if you scan this QR code, I'm going to leave it up on the screen. If you can scan this QR code with your phone, it will take you to their website where they produced a special video about this beer, from what I understand. And on the bottom here, it lets me know and lets you know that it was canned on February 8th, 2022. So this has been out for, by the time you're seeing this, I'm filming this on the 30th of February, the 30th of April. I can't read. By the time you're seeing this, it's going to be in May. So it's going to be about, what I say, almost 3 months since this beer's come out. This is a 10% Imperial Stout, not Imperial IPA. This should be good for a whole mess of time. So 3 months shouldn't make a difference either way. We're going to go ahead and crack it and put a nose on it, because that's what we do here. That was a nice big crack. And let's put a nose on it here. I'm getting a bit of a sweetness. Maybe that's the coconut. Maybe that's the coconut on the nose, but I'm not getting a whole lot on the out of the can here. Let's go ahead and pour it. Coming out pretty dark. It does look somewhat light because I can see pretty much through the pour. But we're going to let this go ahead and get a little more aggressive here. Going to know when to hold them here. Maybe pour a little bit more in there. And yeah, so we're getting about, I'd say about a half a finger of head. It's just shading towards tan. It's not, maybe this is khaki. I would say this is pretty close to khaki, but it's just kind of a light tan. And as you can see, it's not a super impressive head, but it's not too bad. So if we hold it up to the light here, very dark. I talk about seeing the color through the bulb of the glass, like through the very bottom of the glass. I can really barely see through it. It is a bit of a brown color. Hey, guess what? Not seeing through it. Not transparent at all. Super duper opaque. Let's go ahead and put a nose on the glass here. Getting a little bit more of the chocolate, getting like the cacao kind of aroma. I'm still getting a bit of a coconut. I'd say it's kind of chocolate coconut. Those are the two kind of aromas that the main aromas that I would say I'm getting out of this. Let's go ahead and try it out. Cheers. We always talk about the mouthfeel here on this channel first. Always what we talk about, even though the flavor here is very distracting for me to tell you what the mouthfeel is all about, because I want to talk about the flavor. But the mouthfeel isn't super thick. It's kind of like a medium-bodied stout. It's not super thick. It's not syrupy. It doesn't have that going on. It's not light by any means. It's not crisp. It doesn't have a crispness to it. It is like pretty much dead set right in the center, which considering how thin the pour looked, I'm pretty happy that it's got this much of a mouthfeel, that much of a medium kind of mouthfeel that it does. Now let's talk about the flavor. Now that I've kind of run through the gamut of all the flavors in my mouth while I was talking to you about the mouthfeel, let's talk about the flavor. Up front, the mouthfeel, I'm sorry, the flavor comes through at first as being, let's take another taste because I almost kind of forgot what the beginning is. The beginning of the flavor is almost like roasty. It's almost smoky. It's got a little bit of a smokiness to it on the upfront. Once you get past that roasty, and the roasty kind of leads into the next thing, which is like super chocolate. It is like the most chocolate, deep, rich, fudgy, um, kind of almost bitter baker's chocolate that I have tasted in a stout in a long time. Like I talk about things being fudgy and having that chocolatey flavor and decadent and rich and all those things. I talk about those, on I would say somewhat regularly on beer reviews, on stout reviews, on Imperial Stout reviews. This one almost, I would say this takes the cake for having the flavor combination of having that roasty, that smoky kind of flavor that hangs in the entire from the beginning now on the aftertaste. It still has this bit of a smoky characteristic. But what's padding all that smokiness, all that roastiness, is this deep, rich, super dark, super, maybe not super bitter. That almost makes it sound like it's too bitter. It's not too bitter. It has just the right amount of bitterness to counteract that smokiness, that chocolatey kind of flavor that's in there. It just has the right amount of bitterness. Now, might some people pick this up and drink it and say, maybe a little bit too bitter for me? Yes, I think some people will say that. But I also think that there are people out there that love their stouts to have that really rich chocolate, bitter chocolate flavor. I think that there are people out there that love, I mean, it has to be, right? That's why they sell like the 90% cacao chocolate, the 99%, like the super rich dark chocolate. Doesn't have a sweet chocolate vein in its body. Is that how the saying goes? Bone in its body. But this one has that really deep, rich chocolate, like bitter chocolate and smokiness. I feel like the coconut is in there. It comes through a little bit on the beginning, a little bit on the finish. It's like, I don't know, it's like the cheese of a sandwich. Like the coconut is in there, but it's not an overwhelming flavor. I wouldn't say it's a dominant flavor. I would say if you didn't have on the label here that it has coconut, coconut, cacao nibs, vanilla. The vanilla and the coconut are kind of almost a little bit drowned out by how rich and how strong the chocolate flavor is and that smokiness that's in here. I think probably as it warms, and I think I'm drinking this probably a little bit colder. I don't have my thermometer around, but I'm thinking I'm drinking this a little bit colder than you would probably drink this at. I think as it warms up to room temperature, those flavors, that coconut, that vanilla might pop a little bit more. But at the temperature that I'm drinking it, which is probably, to be honest, probably in the low 50s. I should have let this sit out maybe a little bit more. But even as it stands now, I think if you drink it a little bit colder, you're going to get more of that smokiness. You're going to get more of that rich, deep chocolate. I feel like if you drink it a little warmer, as it gets a little bit warmer, closer to room temp, what you're going to get, you're going to start to get that coconut's going to pop a little bit more. And I think that the coconut and the vanilla are just kind of intertwined, really, probably pretty closely together. So it's going to come through a little bit more as coconut. And I do taste coconut on here, but it's really kind of like, it's just, it's kind of living on the edge, of the entire flavor at the beginning and at the end. As I mentioned in my upfront kind of spiel, Bunk Bed Confessions from Watermark was one of my favorite stouts of last year. I think it was number 3 in my top 10 of 2021 Michigan beer. So that's pretty close to the top, and I think it was the highest scoring stout that I had. I'm going to say that this is probably going to be in the top 10 again because it's got a little bit of that different kind of flavor to it. It has that different flavor combination. It doesn't just have the bitter. It doesn't just have a little bit of a kind of smoky, which I like in stouts. It just has an overall flavor that's just so different than a lot of stouts, and I feel like it almost, I don't want to say changes the game, but I feel like it's stepping outside into this different direction that most stouts these days aren't going for. A lot of stouts aren't going for like the traditional stout with some added bonus to it. What they're doing is they're going for the sweet, the pastry, the kind of diabetes, like, diabetes giving stouts. Whereas this one, I feel like, while it may be, I don't know what the calories are on this, but I feel like it's kind of shifting gears. It's kind of going in a different direction than all the other stouts seem to be going these days. The big high ABV stouts these days, I feel like it's kind of going in a different path. And I feel like because it goes down the different path, it offers something a little bit new that you might not get so much these days. All right, friends, that has been Nocturnus from Watermark Brewing Company in Stevensville, Michigan. Have you had this beer before? Do you have another stout that you think kind of goes in that different direction? A new stout that goes in a little bit of a different direction than pastry stouts? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free. Doesn't cost you a thing but your time. And it's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribing and getting those notifications. If you are subscribing and getting those notifications, I encourage you to share this video with your friends who might like beer, maybe get somebody into craft beer. You might change their life. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.